Every single industry started because of a human need purpose. I'd like to go back for a day just to go, I want you to know that it's going to be okay. That you're going to have a lot of uncertainty and it's going to suck. And you're going to have times when your heart's broken, you don't know what you want to be. And, but it will pass.
All right, what is the coolest purchase you've made?
Coolest purchase.
Welcome to Innovation Illuminated, a podcast where guest entrepreneurs and experts in their field of business share their experiences and knowledge learned through their journey in the business world. I am your host, Hunter Pirok, and similar to these guests, I am also an entrepreneur. Today, I'm so delighted to be joined by Craig Schiefelbein. Right here, I have a written list of an introduction for him, so I'm going to be referring to it a lot because I do not want to miss anything on this introduction because Craig is so many things that are interesting. He's an entrepreneur, innovator, philanthropist, superhero, and just a great human being in general. Craig is widely known as the founder of Paragon Development Systems, or PDS, as we may refer to it a lot throughout this podcast. It's an IT company he started in the basement with loose change and built it into a company worth over $225 million. During our conversation, we talked through how the business continued to change and how he had to be agile as a leader. While Craig was the CEO, PDS had 26 consecutive years of growth and was recognized as a top innovator in North America by Intel, along with continually being recognized as best place to work in Wisconsin. Craig is very keen on the idea that humans need purpose. He walks through some great metaphors and examples that helped him build such a great company culture for employees. Craig has been an inspirational speaker for over 200,000 people with messages on purpose, leading change, and innovation, among other topics. Some of Craig's business and community accomplishments include being twice recognized as by Ernst & Young as Entrepreneur of the Year. He has also been recognized as Citizen of the Year by the Chamber of Commerce, and he's a recipient of the Ronald Reagan National Leadership Award. Another thing that's pretty cool is that he was selected to be the official motivational speaker of the Green Bay Packers football team in 2020. During the episode, we talked through how he and his family built 12 schools and an orphanage in Cambodia, hosting over 4,100 students. He recently did eye exams for all those 4,100 people and went back a week later with spectacles made for all of them that needed them. This is a very touching story and is very inspirational. He and his wife are also the founders of the Oconomowoc Area Foundation, Rogers Behavioral Health Youth and Adolescent Center, Lake Area Free Dental Clinic, the Oconomowoc Public Education Foundation, and they built the Oconomowoc Skate Park. That was a laundry list of achievements and accolades of Craig, but I wanted you to get a picture of who Craig is. He sheds a lot of advice and his experiences that I believe have a profound effect on the listener, as they did on myself while I was listening to Craig speak. It was an honor to ask him lots of these questions that I was interested to learn in, and he guides me through lots of his experiences that helped him through his process, from starting with loose change to building a multi-$100 million company. Please subscribe to us on Spotify and YouTube, as that's a great way to support the podcast, and leave a comment on YouTube as to who you'd like me to interview and what you're curious to learn from them. I will be reading all the comments. Thanks for tuning into this episode, and I hope you enjoy Innovation Illuminated.
How you doing, man?
Good?
Yeah, good to see you.
Good to see you, for sure. Thanks
Yeah.
for doing this. I'm super excited to learn from you and to share a passion for helping people and making people feel purpose in life and growing into what they want to be in life.
Yeah.
So I want to start with how your journey started as an entrepreneur and where you really found your purpose at PDS, Paragon Development Systems, your IT company.
Yeah. No, it's a good question. I think I found the purpose long before I started the company. I went to college for a couple of years after high school, and I was focused too much on other things. And I didn't do great, actually. After a couple of years of college, I took a break. I didn't quit. I left. If you quit, you got to fill out paperwork. I just left. And, but then I spent like 2.5 years doing trap work, mixing cement, hauling block, Worked in a bait shop, sold skateboards and gave skateboard lessons. That was a fun thing, kind of similar to what you do. And,
Was that a passion growing up, skateboarding?
yeah. I was a mental skateboarder. And then I had a job working third shift in this factory for 9 months, making shoe heels and shampoo caps. And I'd spent like 2.5 years, which I think a lot of people do. Young people do go, well, I'm trying to find myself. I was trying to find myself. And one day I offered up some suggestions to my foreman to make the company more efficient. It was really unorganized. There was no flow. And so I asked my boss, waved him over and I said, hey, I have some ideas whenever you get a chance to like make this flow, eliminate waste, make it so much more efficient. And he's like, well, I have a minute. And I explained to him, what we could do. Like we could come in on a weekend, we could reorganize it, and which is the indoor, outdoor, and loading dock and all the stuff. And he just looks at me and goes, you're not paid to think. Get back to work. And, it was a sock in the gut. And, I'm kind of a sap at that juncture, was kind of lost, and I got choked up. And it was that juncture where I realized a self isn't something that you find. A self is something you create. And so at that juncture, after doing 2.5 years of just being lost, I chose to change my station in life. And so I went to my grandparents and they borrowed $600. And I'm going back to school. It was a hell of a lot cheaper back then. And I took a couple business classes, couple computer classes. And, before we jump into, what happened to start the company, I would just say this, that I never imagined that our company would end up doing what it did. It continually changed what we did for who we did it for. But I said, I'm going to start a company where people are paid to think. So that like crummy moment in life actually was what I call a crucible moment. It was a crucible moment in life where I just go, you know what? I'm not sure what I am going to do, but I do know that wherever I go, I'm going to foster culture where I issue love, trust, and respect to my colleagues, and they're going to be paid to think. And so, when we started the company, we had an idea, but we weren't committed to doing that in perpetuity because we knew things were going to change in the market and IT and stuff. So anyway, creating a culture people are paid to think was critical component of how we got this thing going.
Interesting. So that guy sparked the flame inside you.
Yeah. I think all of us have some crucible moments in life where maybe somebody says, you can't do it. I mean, there's a lot of great success stories in saying, well, I'll show you.
Yeah.
Right. That's inspired a lot of people, or, some people are just wired to be, A-type and overachievers or whatever. And, but, we all have these crucible moments, and some of them aren't great moments in life. Maybe we lose a loved one at a very young age or whatever it is. And, it's us against the world, and we're going to go out and make our way,
Yeah.
So that's, so I had to I was almost like at rock bottom, and people are like, how did you start this company, which became a very large company, with loose change in a basement. And it's, it just all started from there, just committed to create this great place to work and so forth. So, yeah.
So that was the passion behind it. That was you had the goal of the company, and the center was make it a good culture for the employees.
Yeah. I had a really awesome mom, still have an awesome mom. But she was really strong on us early on to hey, when you meet somebody, give them the benefit of the doubt out of the gate. Like meet somebody, issue them love, trust, respect out of the gate.
Yeah.
Like I give you the benefit of the doubt. You're one of the good guys. You're here doing this podcast because you're trying to help people get to a better place.
Right.
That's purposeful. Yeah, you're going to garner some wisdom. And so you get my respect out of the gate.
Awesome.
Now you can screw it up.
Yeah.
If you want, but, and so that was kind of instilled in me in a very young age where you meet somebody, you issue like love, trust, respect out of the gate, and be transparent. As a CEO, I would always say, this is the human need purpose we serve. This is the competitive landscape. This is the strategy. And then I'm not the smartest guy in the room. What do you think we should start, stop, think about doing? So that whole moment where the guy said, you're not paid to think, that crucible moment, I came up with what should we start, stop, think about doing? I've just told you all our obstacles, transparency, and people, it fostered a lot of innovation. We are very purposeful innovation. And so it really all stemmed from that. And so I was speaking at a high school and one time, and I said, raise your hand if you know what you want to do when you grow up. And there was this guy, kind of a surfer dude. He looked more like a surfer dude than you do. You're an awesome surfer, like long hair. And he raised his hand, and he kind of sounds like Spicoli on Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Okay.
And I'm like, what do you want to do? And he goes, yeah, man, I want to start my own business. And I'm like, why is that? And he goes, well, because I like the extra cash and all the free time. And I'm like, yeah, if that's what you want, go work for somebody else. Because when you start a company, it's a lot of work. It's a big effort. For me, it was like 7 years to be an overnight success.
Right.
We had great success out of the gate, but there was just a lot of stress to keep, changing ourselves. So anyways, I'm jumping around.
Yeah.
But,
No, totally. Well, you say like the 7 years and then it's like overnight success. Everybody just sees it and sees like an article like, oh, this person just blew up. And it's like, that was 7-10 years in the making.
Yes, right.
Is that how do you think all companies are usually like that? Like somebody should be grinding out like 7 to 10 years of work until they get to there?
I hope not. I was gray at a very early age. I was grinding it out, but I don't think I really took more than a 3-day weekend for many years, many years. It had to be a pretty big, like a wedding or something for me to take more than that. Because a big responsibility. I started the company in the basement with $8,000. And, when I left, it was about a $200 million in sales company. Yeah, and so, that was a big, so you have to manage it prudently and bust your butt, so. And I think you'll learn, and I think anybody else learns, that when they start a company, you have to wear all hats in the company. Like I'd have to sell stuff, buy it, receive it, build it, ship it, customer support, invoice it. You wear all the hats, like the number of hats you wear in work is in indirect proportion to the size of the company. So it doesn't scale. So as we got big, everybody was like focused on doing what is their highest and best use in that department. And then if I bought a small company, I'd say, how do we get this person, where do we put them? Because we'd always try to create opportunities for everybody. And I go, what do you do? And they go, well, I do everything. And they go, okay, what's your highest and best use?
Yeah.
Because, but when you start, you're doing everything. So there is no free time.
Right.
And as you get bigger, you can have, people to hold your coat as you go out and do things. And
when's like the milestone when you start to like delegate work? Was it just like a certain amount where you just didn't have enough time to do all those little jobs?
Well, we had success out of the gate, enough that we could hire people. We were profitable since inception. Now there's some years where we made like a case of beer at the end of the year, but we brought on people right away. But I think the real thing happened for me is, I had high standards, and wanted to make sure we were the model to emulate in everything we did among our peer groups. There's a competitor in me. And so, I just lost my train of thought. Ask that question again. Sorry, cut, action, do a timestamp.
Do a timestamp.
Yeah. So, what'd you say? I'll say I looked at something there that caught me off guard.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
I think we were at when you started to delegate work out.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a great question. So we had some success out of the gate. So we could bring on people, which is great. Like after the end of the first year, I probably had 8 employees. So that's pretty successful. And we continued to grow, during the history of the company, we had, almost 1,000 different people work there.
Wow.
But we brought on people, but I had very high standards, and I was really, you get in this deal like, well, I'm the best person to build this, to architect this, to support this. And I was starting to do all these things. And then one day I hit a wall, and where, I was going without a break for so many years that I just crashed. Like I couldn't get out of bed. Like I was going without a break, and I wasn't delegating enough.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get out of bed, and I couldn't sleep. So it was this brief period, and then all of a sudden I'm like going, okay, I need to relinquish this thing because it's not going to scale, because the company just went like this, the whole time. And so that's when I got really good at relinquishing. And that's what leadership is. Until you learn how to do that, you're a manager, but once you start to do that, a good leader helps people allows people to make mistakes and learn and grow. And so, I delegated out of the gate, but in a major way, I had to relinquish it after, like 3-4 years. I had to go, okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like I'm stuck, or not stuck, but with the companies, I feel like I've never hired employees, or I've had people like help me with the business or whatnot. But sometimes it's like, I feel like I'm doing everything. Yeah. And I feel like I'm the best person to do it because like, I don't want to train somebody or bring somebody on.
Right.
Because I almost don't want to take that risk. Sometimes it's like, I want this small company to stay a small company.
Right.
Where would you say, you said that you came out of the gate, but for like myself or some other people that are like stuck as like the one person doing it, where should they kind of go to make like the next step, like start making more revenue, start hiring people?
Well, there's a couple. It's a complex question because number one, I have a brother-in-law started a plumbing company, and he's got a great business, and he never wanted to have more than 3 people. He just wanted to keep it small, controllable, didn't want to deal with HR and all of that stuff. Him, a couple guys, and his bride does invoicing. And he made a conscious decision to say, I'm going to contain it to this size. I can control quality, and take great care of the customer. And then a peer starts it and says, you know what? I could build this into a plumbing empire. And they choose to take this on to, at some juncture, they're going to have an HR department and a full accounting department, all the engineers, administration, vendor relations, purchasing, all these different departments. And part of it is a conscious choice. And sometimes it's a break where a big client comes in and says, you know what, we want to go with you. And you have to decide, are you going to invest and go to the next level? Or are you going to go, we're humbled, thank you, but I think this is a little big for us right now.
Yeah.
So, there's a comfort level with the risk, but some of it is conscious decisions.
Okay. Would you continue to grow and expand, or was there any point where you were humbled and didn't want to take on some clients?
Well, yeah. What? It's interesting when you start a business. Almost everybody I talk to, when they start a business, they have overhead, maybe some office, even if they're working out of the house or bringing in somebody, they'll take on, any client, and their offering is huge, and they let the client dictate, like, hey, could you guys do this? And they're trying to get the business going. They're like, what the heck? I could do that,
Yeah.
and the business card might as well be, well, how hard can it be?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're willing to do anything to make ends meet when you start a business because there's not a lot of income,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I laughed at the high school kid. I like the extra cash. And I'm like, there's no money out of the gate. That
Right.
starting and building a company, you've got to invest time, talent, and treasure to get there,
Mm-hmm.
and so, yeah, just do it.
Totally. Where do I want to go with it? Oh, I want to go back to starting the business. What made you choose to do an IT company?
Yeah, that's a good question. Knew nothing about computers, but always found them intriguing 1 year before the company was sparked. And when I was told I wasn't paid to think, I went back to school, took a couple business classes, took a couple computer classes, and got a summer job working for a small value-added reseller who would make computers, sell them to small businesses, install them, show them how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And so learned all that aspect. And while that helped me hone some business schools, it was a long way from selling bait a year earlier in a bait shop to now I'm selling computers, building computers, ordering parts, doing proposals, all of that stuff. So it was great. That, and I had a sister who was in the industry. So she was a big spark, a big reason for how the company started. And so, she kind of had an idea about brokering memory chips. And, it's kind of a long story. It's really a long story how our company evolved. I could go on for days and all the changes, and maybe we will later in the podcast.
Uh-huh.
But she had an original idea, and it totally made sense to me. And I built upon it. And, after a few years, she wasn't there. And we just went through 7 different business models before somebody came and acquired it.
Okay.
So
Did you started out, you said you kind of wandered to start, you didn't have a plan, you just wanted to create a good environment and didn't even think that it'd get to the level that it did. Do you believe in detailed plans, or kind of wandering about business and opportunities maybe pop up?
Yeah. No, I think it's a good question. We had a plan.
Okay.
And we always had a plan, but things change. So maybe I'll go through this, and I want to come back and talk about human need purpose. But I'm going to go through some business metamorphosis, and maybe because it's long, but it's important to understand the ultimate outcome, which is the only sustainable competitive advantage in life, in work. The only long-term sustainable competitive advantage is agility, is the ability to fundamentally recreate yourself and to get new products and services to market faster than the competitive landscape. So agility. So that whole purposeful kumbaya culture that we created, great place to work, gave us agility. So yes, we had an idea out of the gate, and we knew that this is what we were going to do, and we were going to be the best at it. And we started brokering computer chips. Back then, the industry was really, really new. And, PCs would come with no memory, 64K of RAM, nothing to it, right?
Yeah.
And so, but all the computers inside had slots to add more memory. And so we actually started as a wholesaler. We bought a book of all the mom and pop computer shops around the country. And back then, there was a lot because the consumers were less sophisticated. Mm-hmm. And we'd started in a basement, so they didn't know we're in an office building.
Yeah.
And we'd sell them chips. So when customers would bring in their PCs to upgrade, they could upgrade them and they buy their memory chips from us. So it started there, and it's great. And our plan was, we're going to do this in perpetuity, and we're going to be amazing. Then something happened. 3 years later, year and a half later, the Reagan administration imposed trade sanctions on Japan for dumping semiconductors. So the prices skyrocketed, which is great for us. We could sell above replacement cost, and it was great out of the gate. We did great. Mm-hmm. And so our plan was to continue to do that forever. And then something happened. He removes the tariffs. Prices are going to plummet. Buying high and selling low is not a good idea, as you know. So I'm like, okay, we got to change, and we got to change quickly. We can't do just this anymore. But now we had all these customers, these mom and pop computer shops, and we're selling them chips. And I'm like, well, maybe we could also sell them video cards and hard drives and new, multifunction cards and different things that go inside the computer, or upgrade monitors. And we started selling all the components. And that was awesome. And it worked great for a couple of years. Then something happened. All of a sudden, there's this huge consolidation in the industry. And people who are competitors started merging and buying each other up. To now, all of a sudden, there's 3 of them. And our customers, and our plan was, we're going to do this now. This is going to be our business. But then it changed. Not because of us, just industry and society changes. So all this consolidation, well, now I can't compete because my customers can buy for what I buy for because of their my competitors' buying power. So now I'm like, oh my God, we got to change. So I'm like, well, I have all the parts to build computers. Why don't I start making computers? And so I started assembly line. Now we have all these mom and pop computer shops around the country that were originally buying chips and then components. And then I create my own product line called PDS, Paragon Development Systems. Paragon Development Systems was the name of the computer we put on there. And we would make them authorized resellers. We'd go around country and give them PCs and stuff. And it was great. We continued to grow. Mm-hmm. Then something happened. So our plan was, we're going to be great at this. Then something happened. We weren't selling direct. We were only selling to mom and pop computer shops. Mom and pop computer shops started to die. There used to be, in a small town like Oconomowoc, there was 4 mom and pop computer shops downtown. Like the first people that knew anything about PCs, like in, mid and late 80s, people would go, wow, you're so smart at this. You should go into business, because nobody knew anything about them in the 80s, right? Mm-hmm. So they'd go into business. Well, then all of a sudden, Intel starts marketing. Intel Inside, all computers are the same. People started using them and becoming familiar. Then they started buying in price, going, well, I can go to Best Buy. I can go, wherever. I can go online to Dell. I can go wherever to buy it. There's a lot of people were in business that big ones that are no longer there. But all of a sudden, mom and pop computer shops, all of our customers, we had it all figured out. We had a plan. Mm-hmm. We were going to expand that. And then they all began to die. The plan needed to change. Mm-hmm. So then I'm like, okay, you know what? We're going to open up direct. And we don't want to step on the toes of our customers. So we're going to go for big companies, because they were focused on little business and end users. And so we focused on large enterprise. Was great. We took off and we started selling tons of PCs, build a new corporate headquarters. And, Y2K was great for us. Everybody's like, Y2K, we're going to need to replace all of our computer systems at the company here. And I go, well, we're willing to help you with that. And it was great. So you know what? We had it all figured out. We're going to be the PC company, right? And that's what we did. And then all of a sudden something happened. We replaced all these people, all these companies, and we had big companies. I just focused on large companies and spent a ton of time and all our resources to get 1 or maybe 2 a year, then 4 a year. Like our goals were really not huge number of customers, but big customers. So like Mayo Clinic, when, we were done, we had 40,000 computers in Mayo Clinic. 40,000. Wow. Yeah. And so we would go in and they, but at that time they'd go, you know what, we're going to replace all of our computers and we're glad to help. And in the beginning of 1991, they're like, thank God we're done. We've replaced all the PCs. We won't need to buy another computer for 3 years because they've all been replaced. Okay. Well, I had a plan. I was going to continue to sell PCs to them.
But they were replace them.
Now they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, you know what? Companies got to change. So now I got to get into services. So then I start building a service organization, buy a company. Then I have to get in the data center, start hiring engineers, building that, selling server storage, And then all of a sudden we're helping people implement help desk. And then all of a sudden, I'm rambling through the rest. And then people go like, why do you stop telling us how to be, our own help desk company? Why didn't you just be it? So I'm like, okay, we'll build a help desk and we'll be your help desk company. If you call for Epic MyChart support for medical records anywhere in the country, odds are the person that's picking up that phone, even if they say ProHealth, Mayo Clinic, Kaiser Permanente, that's from our help desk.
Really?
Yeah. And so and then all of a sudden we're the virtualization company. We were using the word cloud before cloud was a word, in IT infrastructure. So we're the first company to do VMware virtualization. And so anyways, it's a really, really long story, but it's really important. We knew what we were going to do. And then something changed. So then we figured it out. And then something changed and we figured it out. And then something changed. And so I'll never come out with I did it my way, movie or story. Like this interview, I'm not going to tell you how to have an idea and that things will never change. I'm just saying, if we wouldn't have stopped being a memory broker, we would have died. If we wouldn't have switched from being just a component wholesaler, we would have died. If we wouldn't have stopped just being PCs wholesale, we would have died. If we wouldn't have stopped and changed from being just PCs direct, we would have died. If we wouldn't have launched all these new things, we would have died. And even if we were the best still memory broker, we still wouldn't be here. It's like somebody saying, hey man, did you hear? We just built the world's fastest fax machine. People go, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? Because it's all past.
Right.
And so anyway, it's a long story. Maybe you want to put it at the end, but this is where I'm saying fostering this culture where people are all in, like they're shareholders of the company, is paramount, because then you're more agile and you can recreate yourself and you can shift, because people dislike change. And so creating this very purposeful, you're paid to think, we share the bottom line with you, like everybody feels like an owner, enable us to be more agile. And the only sustainable competitive advantage is agility.
Right. I was going to say that right when you ended. I was going to say agility and versatility and adaptability for like a business and entrepreneur, because I've heard a thing that's like, the small businesses that are agile can change and get the competitive advantage so much quicker than the big business. Yeah. Because they're going to have to talk to this person, then they're going to talk to this person, this person, this person. We're saying that it's one company that everybody's an owner in, and they all have a piece of the pie, and everybody is passionate about the company.
Right. Exactly.
They're not just reporting to their manager.
Yeah.
Everybody's a leader and has their own ideas, and like you said, getting paid to think.
Yeah.
What would you say the differentiation between a manager and a leader is?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I could go for days.
Keep it going. I love it.
But I think this is paramount. In change has to be led. It can't be managed. Okay. And there's a difference between management and leadership. Now, I don't want to say you're either a manager or a leader, because that would be offensive. You can learn when to put your like I'm a better leader than I'm a manager. So I know that I have to surround myself that are really strong management people. And I found when we started our company, like every time we had to recreate ourselves, I found myself hiring people that were leadership in nature. And then all of a sudden we say, this is what we're going to do. And we do it for the next 3 years. And then I found myself hiring managers, and I'll explain. So when you're a manager, I'll just go manager or leader. I'm going to do it this way.
Left hand, right hand.
Yeah. So if you're a manager, you tend to be more about duty. This is your duty. This is what we're going to do. And leadership is about purpose, human need purpose that we serve. And I'll give you an example. And it's really paramount because we talk about purpose a lot. A metaphor. A guy's driving down the road, and he sees a guy on the side of the road digging a ditch, right? And he says to the guy, he goes, hey man, what are you doing? The guy goes, well, I'm digging a ditch. And he goes, okay. He drives a little further, sees another guy digging a ditch, same shirt, same company, same project. He goes, hey man, what are you guys doing? He goes, we're building a hospital. Same job, different perspective. Who do you think's got the better quality of life? Who's got a better chance to innovate? Some people say research will show one has a chance for longer lifespan because they have purpose. So manager, duty, leader, purpose, right? Process, people, like this is our duty. This is our process. I want you to dig your ditches 3 feet by 1 feet by this deep every hour. That's your metric of success. And the leader is like painting the picture of the desired state and how, if we do this right, we're going to impact the human condition. Manager might be cost reduction, risk mitigation, manage money, and, play not to lose. The leader is play to win. How are we going to emerge victorious? How are we going to be number one or number two in anything strategic? Like, how are we going to be the model to emulate? Paint the picture of the desired state. Instead of just fear of failure, save your money, and you have to do that. You have to have both, right? A manager thinks maybe more tactical. We're going to try to do more of the same thing better, more of the same thing better. And where a leader will tend to think more strategic. And strategic is thinking with the outcome in mind. You know what? Like to your plan, maybe a 5-year or 10-year. I mean, things change. But just a leader goes, you know what? If we're going to be really successful in like 30 months from now, we should look like this. And then you start with the 30 months and then you work backwards. What are we going to, if we're going to be like this in 30 months, we got to be here in 24 months. We got to be here in 18 months. We got to be here in 12. And if we're going to be here in 12, we better be here in 6. And you start with the end and work backwards. That's strategic thinking. And so leaders are more people, purpose, innovation, play to win, start with the end in mind, versus process, duty, metrics, cost reduction, risk mitigation, tactical. Let's just try to do more of the same thing better. I would have managed this. If I was just a manager, we would have been out of business because we would have been trying to reduce costs so we could stay open selling memory chips. I would have managed costs, mitigate risk, so we could just be component wholesalers, or try to reduce costs so we could stay in business selling PCs to businesses that no longer exist. Yeah. You know what I mean? I would have, and so it had to be led. It had to be led, and people don't like change. And so leadership is paramount. Now, if you're just if all you have to do is just more of the same thing, get good management, get metrics. How do we do more for the same? Save for less, reduce costs, better metrics, faster, eliminate waste. Great. So, it depends on what stage you're. And here is a great metaphor for management leadership. Mountain climbers, they're climbing a wall, right? And they get to a position on a mountain and they hold, and that's called standardization. Okay. Now they're managing it. Like in business, standardization, we decided to be this and now we're managing it. Like, how do we do it? How do we reduce costs, mitigate risk, all those things. We're trying to do more of the same thing better. We switched to a new business model, and that's standardization. Now, when the mountain climber looks up and says, we have to go, different direction, time to go, and they let go, it's called taking a lead. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so now, and there's fear in taking a lead. You have to let go of something that you've been doing, right? And now you got to reach up, and there's risk and there's fear, but you have to take a lead. And then you pull up, you lead, and then my company would be in standardization mode. And then all of a sudden something would change. And it'd be like, okay, I got to take a lead. And bam, and then pull up, and then standardize. And so it's interesting. That's a great metaphor, just like digging a ditch, building a hospital, but that whole standardization, take a lead, standardization, take a lead, so does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And I was even thinking to extend it maybe like the mountain climber would go one higher, and then they'd realize that there's something that they should go in a different direction.
Yeah.
Like this isn't going to work going
Yeah,
up.
they got it over here.
Left.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Just like you were saying with the company, there's so many changes that you have to make. The mountain climber is not going to go straight up.
Yeah, that's
We're going to have to go this way and this way.
Exactly.
And this way
Yeah.
to the top maybe.
Because there's obstacles.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I said I'll never come out with a video. I did it my way because every once in a while I'm like going, you know what? Got it figured out. We finally got it figured out. And then I don't know whether it's the Lord throwing curveballs at me or just the evolution of society, competitive landscape, or, we were small. You brought up a great point before. It's no longer the big companies beating the small companies. That's the way it was. Everybody bought IBM, and we were just this tiny little company. I had $8,000 in. I borrowed a little money to my sister. We started it. We had a couple friends that were there in the beginning, and so we had loose change. And it was the big beating the small. Well, now you know what it is? It's the quick beating the slow.
Right.
It's the quick beating the slow. And so we were a small company, when I left, I think we had 340 employees at that time. So in our industry, we're pretty small, but we were first to market often with things. However, 6 months later, competitors would get there, and then I'd have to take a lead, let go. I'd continue to standardize on that initiative, but I'd have to go and continue to innovate. Right. So does that make sense?
Yeah. It totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Can we talk about a little bit of employees? You said that you had some managers and some leaders working at the company.
Yeah.
Would you prefer to hire a leader or a manager, and what traits did you look for in employees?
Well, I think, first of all, it's really offensive if I say you're one or the other.
Right.
Some people are fairly hardwired, but, people can learn to be both depending on the level of change. And so what I was saying is when I'm like, oh my God, everything's changing. We can no longer just manage. We have to take a whole new business model, to new customers with a new offering, and everybody's got to be retrained and the company's got to be retooled. You can't manage that. Yet if you were all managers, you'd be rearranging chairs on the Titanic. Mm-hmm. You'd be rearranging chairs on the Titanic. So, I would find myself hiring people that couldn't adapt and lead, that were just shuffling chairs on the Titanic, and I'd hire people in to go that were good for people to help them overcome the fear of change, and to help us get to this desired state. And then all of a sudden, once we got there and said, okay, bam, this is what we're going to do. And we got it. Now, we'd have to start to manage it. We'd start bringing in people that could bring in metrics to reduce costs, to eliminate waste, to drive efficiency, so we could be really good at it, and make money. Mm-hmm. Money's not my God, but poverty doesn't buy you happiness either. And so the management was about innovating, about doing more of the same thing, and leading was innovating about how getting us to a different place. And so I hired both people with the tendency to do one or the other based on the level of change our company was going through. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So in certain situations, you'd want one versus the other.
Yeah. If we're trying to do more of the same thing, give me managers.
Right.
We'll put in metrics, reduce costs. We'll try to negotiate buying. We'll try to streamline the workflow to get there. And the innovation is still in the management, but it's just trying to do the same thing better or more of the same thing. Mm-hmm. But when you have to do something completely different, it has to be led.
Right.
So
let's get back into the human need purpose, because I feel like you love talking about that, and I love hearing it, because I feel like a lot of people don't find purpose, and some people may be stuck. Like I made this podcast wanting to help entrepreneurs that may be stuck and they don't see a purpose in what they're doing right now.
Right.
Or they're at an organization. You stoke the fire?
Yes.
Let's take a break and stoke the fire up.
Because you know what? I'm going to put another piece on there.
Let's do it. All right. We got a log on the fire. It's blazing again. It was getting low. It was getting to be a little just smoke at the point of that we took the break at. But now we're going to get back into the human purpose need, because we were talking about how some people might be in a job or an entrepreneur and they feel like there's no purpose in what they're doing.
Right. Yeah. Great question. This is paramount. Recognize that every industry in the history of man, every single industry, started because of a human need purpose. At some juncture, somebody said, I don't feel safe anymore keeping my money in my mattress because I keep getting robbed. And somebody said, we could start something, we'll call it a bank. We'll build a school. We'll start a clinic. I don't care. Every single industry started because there's a human need purpose. Now, think about it. If there was no human need purpose, nobody'd want to buy it. So the company wouldn't exist. And even if it's somebody who's in manufacturing, they make parts that go into the MRI machine that takes x-rays and determines if you have cancer, and GE is their customer and the hospital's their customer. I mean, everything goes to that. Somebody who cuts hair, which should probably do this one, is trying to make people feel better about themselves, right? Maybe. If you're an HVAC or a plumber, you're serving a human need purpose. Every single industry started because of a human need purpose. Now, in every one of those industries, there's many companies. And every one of those companies started because of the founder thought that they could serve that human need purpose better. I could be more exceptional. I'll be more elegant. I'll be more efficient. I'll be more empowering. A lot of E's here, right? I'll be more empowering. I'll give them the feeling of, belonging or membership or whatever it is. Or, Walmart, always the lowest price. Jimmy John's, freakishly fast. We're going to be the fastest. That's our deal. And so every founder started, their business to serve some human need purpose. Now, it changes over time. Maybe they give it to the kids and the kids think, I'm going to do it just to make money, and they give it and it gets lost, in generations or whatever. And it's, whatever. But the founders of the company, if they're still in business, started to serve a human need purpose. If somebody starts a company because, hey man, I'm just going to go on my own because I can make a lot of cash, and they're not thinking about impacting the quality of life of the customers, they're that statistic that 75% don't make it past 3 years, or 85% 5 years, or whatever it is, because they're going into it and thinking we can make a lot of cash. And if that's your goal and you're not willing to work a lot, like I had to in those early years, it doesn't, it just doesn't work. And so industry starts for human need purpose. Founders start their company within that to serve some human need purpose differently. And then in every one of those companies, there's roles. The young lady in shipping is there to improve the quality of life of the customer's receiving department. The person in payables department is trying to improve the quality of life to the, vendor's receivable. Our help desk is trying to improve the quality of life of the people on their help desk. And so every position in a company serves a human need purpose. And that's why the metaphor, somebody's driving down the road and he asks two people, what are you doing? And they're digging ditches. And one says, I'm digging a ditch. One says, I'm building a hospital. So it's important when I get together as a CEO, I'd be really transparent about the human need purpose we serve, and that how each of them serve a human need purpose, that we're building a hospital here. I mean, not technically, but they feel it, and then what he starts to think about doing, right? So it goes back to that. So if you create a purposeful culture, your turnover will be low. You'll be a great place to work. You're allowing people to become. And I just think it's paramount. Without human need purpose, you cannot be great. You cannot impact the human condition, and your company will not sustain itself.
While you were talking there, and then you brought up the hospital thing, I wrote down here that it's a mindset, because that lady in shipping might not be thinking that like has a purpose here.
Right.
She could be thinking, oh, I'm just doing it for the cash. Like I have a kid. Yeah. I'm just doing this because I need money to put food on the counter. Like I'm not thinking of the end thing. So it's a mindset that I feel like entrepreneurs and leaders have to instill in their employees, that it's a purpose.
Yes.
It's a mindset.
You know what? not trying to be cheesy and do that.
Yeah.
That's it. And not everybody does that. You know, a manager is going, start digging the ditch. You
We
know,
need it done by this day. Yeah.
yes, I need, this deep, this fast, need it done by this. Failure is not an option.
I'll just get another one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the leader's going, you know what? If you do this really well, man, you're going to make lives so much better. Thank you. Let's do this. Let's create a wow experience.
Yeah.
I mean, even from your role in your department, you can impact experience for colleagues, for vendors, for customers, and inspire them. And so you nailed it. I mean, it's a mindset that is sometimes conveyed because a lot of people get hired and they assume that they're just ditch diggers,
Right.
and they need to be inspired.
That's interesting because I feel like my generation, so many people want to be entrepreneurs and leaders, but that might not be their role right now, and that they should feel empowered in the job that they're in currently.
Right.
And maybe they need a new job because they're not empowered and don't feel purpose. But I feel like a lot of people are striving for their purpose that is unreachable at the time that they're currently in their situation.
Right.
That they need to feel powerful and purpose in the position that they're currently in, because some people need to do those jobs.
Yeah,
it needs
right.
to be the shippers. There needs to be the people that are doing everything.
Yeah.
Everybody just can't be an entrepreneur that's taking out a ton of risk.
Right.
And there's so many problems. It's stressful. It's not for
Oh,
everybody.
it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. And while your viewers and listeners, there's going to be a lot of those people that want to be inspired to start something successful, and some don't. However, man, quality of life is so much better in whatever you do if you think about human purpose. Now, remember, I failed. I left college. After the first time I went to college, I went 2 years and I failed and I left, right? And then I spent 2.5 years doing crummy jobs, trying to find myself. Didn't know what I was going to do. Didn't love what I was doing, but I was trying to do the best at it. And until I had that crucible moment where I was told I wasn't paid to think, right? And so, but what I didn't know what I was going to do. But you work a bunch of crummy jobs and you decide what you don't want to do. You learn what your highest and best use is and what you're not good at.
Yeah.
Right. And so, sometimes you go find a place and, you just go, okay, this isn't for me. I'm not a retail guy. I'm not a customer service person. I'm more of an engineer. I'm more, whatever. So, a lot of people, and actually, I'm going to tell you, I'm sympathetic to a lot of people your age right now. My mom asked me, wouldn't you like to go back and be like in high school right now? And I went, no. There's so much uncertainty. And even through your age, you're like, what am I going to do? What am I going to be? And I'm going to make my way. In college, I had a lot of great friends, people that I love, that I'm still friends with, that I met. And we had great times and we built bonds. But no question, there was, I have this adage, the certainty of misery is better than the misery of uncertainty. Like the certainty of misery, like, hey man, this is going to suck for the next 6 months, is better than not knowing at all.
Yeah. That's so interesting because like people think about that, or I think about it like with a workout.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to be uncertain if I don't try it, but I'm like excited because I'm like, this is going to suck.
Yeah.
It's going to suck, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to finish it.
Yeah, right.
Which is cool.
Exactly. And so the certainty of misery. So like all these people, when I was in college that I hung out with, and if I went back and we had good times, but they had uncertainty. Didn't know what they want to do, if they were going to make their way, who they were going to be. And now they're all married, have kids. Some have grandkids. They have houses. Maybe they have a little mortgage left. Maybe they don't. They have savings or saving for retiring. And they're all doing things different than they went to school for. Nobody's working in the degree that they got, interestingly enough. I mean, 2 are out of 15, And so, but there's still uncertainty, and everybody's posturing. But it's tough at your age, I think, because people and parents are saying, well, what are you going to do? You got to make up your mind. dude, you're 22. You should know by now. You went to school. And it's like, you know what? Whatever you're doing today is going to be different. I just want you to know. But I want you to know it's going to be okay. So if my mom goes, wouldn't you like to go back? I'd like to go back for a day just to go, I want you to know that it's going to be okay. That you're going to have a lot of uncertainty and it's going to suck. And you're going to have times when your heart's broken, you don't know what you want to be. And, but it will pass and you're going to be okay. And so I'm sympathetic, but I'm certainly, you can already tell you're one of the people that's going to emerge victorious because you've got that spirit in you. Yeah.
I can't wait for people to hear this because that helps me. Some days I'll open up a little bit. I feel like when I first started the podcast, like a month ago, I'm just new to it, but the uncertainty, like, are people going to listen to it? My thumbnails look terrible. It feels unprofessional. Yeah. I'm using iPhones right now to record it.
Yeah, right.
Everything is just...
With duct tape.
Yeah, with duct tape. They're duct taped to the ceiling, yeah. But yeah, the uncertainty. And then I'm like, well, what if I don't want to do this in 10 years? Like, do I need to tough it out for the 10 years? But there's so much uncertainty, like you said, with like people my age. And I hope this helps a lot of people and myself that it's going to be okay, like you said, in the future.
Yeah. And, if you stick with it, a lot of people, especially in your generation, not to pick on, but, everybody wants flexibility and work schedule, work from home, work from wherever they're at, work from the surfboard, make good coin, and they jump around a lot of different companies and so forth. If you find something that's purposeful to you, kind of going back to that, where you go, you know what? If I do this really well, I'm helping people get to a better place in life. What you're doing is a form of ministry, right? If you're helping people get to a better place and it's purposeful, you can stay with it. Remember, it was a bunch of years to be an overnight success story for me.
Right.
I mean, we had success out of the gate, but I remember after about 8 years, the media started coming in going, who is this kid? Yeah. Like the local little golden boy just started a company in the basement with his sister and a couple of friends. And, and it's huge, like out of nowhere, and they're like, isn't that amazing to be an overnight success? And I'm like,
it wasn't that way.
It's not that way. And so there's this grit to grind it out and know that if you can find purpose in it, you can emerge victorious. So I wouldn't work on making, the fastest fax machines.
That's a little outdated. Yeah. Entrepreneurs have had to adapt since then to be doing what's popular today. I want to know your opinion. I'm interested to hear this on like social media, and so many people like myself go down a rabbit hole of like looking at the people that are our age that are so rich already. And you're like envious. And what are they doing? Like they're driving a Lambo right now and they're 20 years old. Like that's insane.
Yeah. Teddy Roosevelt once said, comparison is the thief of all joy. Comparison is the thief of all joy. Because there's always going to be somebody who's got it better.
Right.
I mean, if you now recognize there's always somebody who's got it worse, that is happier than you, then it's convicting. But, on social media, it's like, look at that guy. He's got a helicopter and he's only 6 years older than I. A lot of times there's underlying factors. Maybe it's multi-generational wealth. I love, when Trump said, hey, I built this myself, and all I got was $1 million loan to start it in 1958 for my dad.
Yeah.
$1 million was a lot of cash in 58. I mean, it was huge. It's like saying, hey man, good luck with this. I'm going to give you $15 million. See how long you can keep it going. And so anyway, comparison is the thief of all joy. And I think social media, can really damage that. I mean, there's no shortage of research showing that, especially among young females, that it's a big component to depression because it's compare and contrast and look at me, I'm having fun, I'm on the beach, look at my new bikini, and there's all this pressure and it's a catalyst for depression for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. Like I said, I found myself doing it. I can assume for a woman to be way worse comparing themselves to other people online, because I feel like guys compare themselves to richer people, and then women are comparing themselves to looks with all the females that are
exactly
popular of their age.
Yeah, it's very different.
Let's stray away from that conversation. Let's get into a little bit of like contributing to your community,
Right.
and helping out within your community and doing good deeds.
Yeah.
Considering that you had your business and now you're taking your purpose somewhere else to help other humans.
Yeah. It's interesting, Hunter, when so I don't come from money. My mom had 6 kids. She raised us on waitress tips for the most part. My dad was, my parents were divorced and married multiple times to each other. Sometimes he was around, sometimes he wasn't around. And, so we didn't come from chips or cash, at all. We didn't have it. And so, but I heard when I was 11, somebody told me what the meaning of a philanthropist was.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, one day I'm going to be a philanthropist. I'm going to help, be able to give money, give time, give talent, treasure,
Mm-hmm.
To make the world a better place. Well, there's a lot of things that had to happen for me to change my station in life to be a philanthropist,
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm really, really busy now. I do lots of work. I sit on 5 different boards, and I go around the country and I do leadership and innovation speaking. And so, which is great. But my wife and I have 12 schools in Cambodia. We have over 4,100 kids that we're educating there. Just got back from there. We led the initiative to build the skate park, to the Youth and Adolescent Center at Rogers, the free dental clinic, the Oconomowoc Area Foundation. And all of these things are helping people get to a better place in life. So, you want to rally and get behind it. And so, and honestly, this is not, I shouldn't be saying that, to get my virtual signaling. That's the other thing with social media. Because I'm a guy that has faith. I know, coming from that background and through all the failures, that, I have faith that there was one set of tracks in the stand carrying me through that often, so glory goes to God, because I think all the gifts, I think it's in the book of Luke, right? It's to whom much is given, much is required.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Too much is given, much is required. I mean, imagine getting to the pearly gates one day and he goes, good job, but you should have seen the plan we had for you. You missed it. You could have made such a bigger difference if you just would have relinquished this time, talent, or treasure.
Yeah.
Because you can't take it with you. There's no pockets in coffins. There's not. So why not make an impact?
Right.
So anyway.
Did that motivate you through the companies that you wanted to make an impact eventually?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But for most of the time I didn't have cash. Even through the growing of the company, I didn't pay myself a lot. For all those years, for 20 years, I was paid way under market for my position. Even when I graduated, way under market. I was never the highest paid person in my company. I wasn't. People think, it's usually the salesperson who has the most business and the most commission or whatever it is. And so, and we were continually growing. And so a lot of the money was reinvesting, but I knew it wasn't if, it was a when I was able to give time, talent, and treasure. So
I see the passion, because I was just about to ask, I wrote it down. What made you keep going after you made the exit of the company? Because you had all the money that you didn't have to do anything else. You could have just retired and not done anything or contributed to those schools in Cambodia and all the stuff that you did on the skate park and everything. But it's a need for a passion for keeping going and doing something that's impactful.
Yeah, I think if you find any founder, like sometimes multi-generation or somebody comes out of a college and they get to run a company, but they didn't really found it. Anybody who founded a company or begins a company that's really, really successful, like I said, for it to stay, they have to be purposeful. And if it's just about, hey, I'm going to get rich quick, they're not going to be around. And so they have to be purposeful. And with that, I believe, they will be more successful and they'll be more likely to, give to causes. And, that's it for me. I wanted to make the world a better place. My kids know that their job is to leave the world a better place for their existence. So my daughter graduated high school this year. She went to Cambodia to do 4,500 eye exams, gave out 1,261 eyeglasses to people who've never had them before.
That's crazy.
Last year, my son went overseas and did mission work to help educate the poor and bring supplies. And, it's so, that's all of our calling. Mm-hmm. Otherwise we're missing the boat. Yeah.
I'm going to have to listen to this back because I'm getting inspired, but I'm like, I need more out of it. I want more out of it because I want to get to that place because that's so cool that you're doing the schools and stuff and making an impact on people that I haven't even seen or you didn't even see personally before you got there. And It's so cool that you said now you're giving out the eyeglasses and get to see their reactions.
Oh, so great. And I was there and my wife were there to and this is what I mean. Comparison. The people who compare to the people who have more, they're going to be unhappy. But when you go to a place in Cambodia, which is so poor, and they're the happiest people, they have nothing, and they're so happy to have it, and none of them have. So we have 4,111 children in our school. Not 3, not 2, not one of them had eyeglasses. Teachers didn't have glasses. It's that poor, and they're so happy. And it's but they don't know that they're blind.
Yeah.
They just don't know. So, to go and put glasses on, we did eye exams and go back a couple weeks later, have glasses made for them, and they put them on, and they just go and take them off. And then this one girl puts them on, and now that green thing has leaves, and it's not just a green blob. And then takes them off. And then puts the glasses in her pocket because she wants to save her eyesight for special occasions. Think about that. She was so happy before the glasses, but she didn't know what she didn't know. And so, you know what? What's really convicting, I have a sister-in-law who I love dearly. She's been battling cancer, and through the whole thing, she was happier than the majority of people your age that have a bright future and are great health.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Just so positive. It's convicting. So when you compare, look to who has less than you and is happier. That should inspire you to be grateful.
How rewarding is that when you see them put the glasses?
Oh, it's just, it's goosebump moments. Just 1,261 goosebump moments, where they look around and some kid might be, 2060. But some might be 22,000. Some of them were Coke bottles. And I know, because I'm blind. I should have been called Coke bottles again.
Coke bottle.
I got my
windshield wipers.
Yes, I got my eyeglasses in second grade, but I didn't know I was blind. They do in the U.S., they do the eye exam.
Yeah.
In second grade, the E thing. Remember that? And they're like, Mr. Schiefelbein, Craig needs glasses. My first pair of glasses I got in second grade were Coke bottles. And I remember seeing my mom's face vividly for the first time going, wow, And so now to be able to do that and watch my daughter do that was so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool, man.
That's insane.
And think about this. Okay, I'm going to take it further.
Yeah,
okay, now we're going off on a tangent, but this is life. But this is human purpose. I remember my older brothers, they'd be throwing the football at me and just bam, he hit me in the face going, he ain't all that bright, but I couldn't see the freaking ball until it was this far away. You know what I mean? And so these kids, what about the blind kid? They play soccer there. They call it football, right? They kick it and the person can't see it, and therefore they're a bad player. Therefore, they're the last kid picked on the team. what does that do to your self-esteem?
Yeah.
So you know what? We're bringing self-esteem opportunities for people to become. I mean, eyesight's a no-brainer how important it is. But, the trickle-down effect of not being able to read, write, to do any of that. Yeah, so.
Yeah, it opens up a whole new world. I love how deep you think on it, that it's just not that they could see the cool leaves or something. They have so much more opportunity in life now.
It's a mental health thing.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you juggle all your tasks with surfing on the board, doing the thing in Cambodia?
Oh, not great.
Not great. It's so much. I mean, I have 3 small businesses right now, and I feel like sometimes I'm overwhelmed. Like I don't know what to write down and when to schedule.
Yeah, you know what? There's always the perpetual list of things to do. There's a perpetual list, but last week I was running with the scissors. And every day I had something to do with 3 completely different companies, and the companies would change on every day. And I was wide open, and, yeah, there's times where you have to learn to listen to yourself think. Self-talk is really paramount. So I said to myself, when you were coming in here, I said to myself, when I said to myself, how many people are in that conversation?
Yeah.
Right? 2, we're always talking to ourselves. Should I go now? Should I go later? Should I start this business? Should I not? Should I pick up the phone and call this guy to see if he'll do a podcast? I don't know. Should I go surfing today, or should I get down and do paperwork? Whatever it is, we're always talking. You can't do this. You're a loser. You can't, I'm never going to be able to do that. I'm going to fail. I don't want to raise my hand. I'm going to look stupid. I said to myself. So managing your life is a lot about, and helping yourself get to a better place is a lot about self-talk. Because here's the deal. It's really easy. You live in vision or you live in circumstance. That's it. You live in vision or you live in circumstance, I said to myself. So who's winning the argument in there? You learn to listen to yourself. I said to myself, worry or faith. Worry is like taking all this emotional energy and putting into things you don't want to have happen. And even if you don't have faith, innovation, worry or innovation. Something's worrying you. Take that emotional energy and say, you know what? I bet you I can figure this out. I might have to make some phone calls. I might have to lose some sleep. But let's try to solve this one. Yeah. And so who's winning the argument? Play not to lose, play to win. Who's winning the argument? It goes on forever, the tactical, the strategical, that whole manager leader, so self-talk really, really helps. Keeping the list really, really helps. And when I'm running crazy, and when you say balance, I don't always. So I had one day last week where I was running so hard and the list that had to be done was so big that I caught myself going through the bank and I was drive through it and I was really short and in a hurry. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I said to myself, stop, you're doing it. Step back, take a break, breathe. You got a couple more things on the list you got to do today. And let's just go in and do them in great fashion. I said to myself,
just take a step back.
Yeah, and so the list, but when I built the company, people go, how do you keep a good balance? You get all these things going on. And I'm like, I don't know that there's such thing as perfect balance, but what I have, I'll have goals for faith, family, health, work, mental growth, social goals, 6 of them,
okay.
Right? Faith, family, health, work, mental growth, social goals. And there's no balance. I just go, okay, all 6 up and running. Yeah. I just want to make sure I want to have them all up and running at some level.
Right.
And sometimes you find it's primarily work and 2%, 2%, 2% everywhere else. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's all mixed around and, maybe it's a long-winded answer, but.
So at least have the goals.
Have the goals. Yep. And you'll be better for it. Have the goals, and there's the big goals And sometimes I find I have my big goals, and January comes around the next year, and it's not about resolution, but I just kind of revisit it, and then I'll go, my big goals are kind of the same, but there's just different levels of evolution in every one of these things, right? And so the big goals at a high level are the same, but it helps when you start breaking down your tactical list. And what are you not going to do? There's a balance. What are you not going to be?
Yeah.
So this is a great message for young entrepreneurs. Not enough if you want me to look at the camera, but here's the deal. When I talk to young entrepreneurs, oftentimes they're going, you know what? We're going to start this, and we're going to do this. And once we get that started, we'll be able to do this. And then we're also going to be able to do this. And picture it, we're going to be able to do this, this, this. And then we're going to be able to do this. Just imagine, we're going to be able to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go, you chase 2 rabbits at once, you don't catch either of them. Sometimes people can do 3, like you, but usually you chase, 3 rabbits at once, you're not going to catch any of them. So what's going to be, and so there's got to be some level of focus, and at some juncture, like you're at an age, you should try everything. Put spitballs on the wall.
That's what I'm doing.
See what sticks. Right? Yeah, no, it's great. It's great, And at some juncture, when you build a business, you go, okay, what am I not going to do? So as I built my company, I started to go, I don't want to say I fired customers, but I realized no matter how hard I work, I can't make it selling to this demographic or to focus in this geography, or I can't afford to take this to market. I'll never be able to be always the lowest price Walmart. So I have to be better. I have to have better performance, better branding. People, you can have, Maui Jims on the boat, and somebody's got Foster Brooks from Walgreens. You paid a lot more. Why? The brand, it's better, it's cooler, it's lighter, it's clearer, less headache, whatever it is. And you know what? They're $270 versus $14. So where are you going to play? You're not going to be able to make glasses for $14 and make cash unless you've got a cool, 500 million behind you that I don't know about.
No.
So you got to be really good at it. So anyway.
So for people that are positioning like a business, it makes sense if they want to grow a work culture to be good, that they should be targeting a higher clientele base so that they can make the money to make it a great work environment.
Well, I don't think that's absolutely true. Okay. Again, when they start a company, they're going to sell to anybody they can. They're going to take on any business they can.
Yeah. Because
they got to make ends meet. And they don't know what they don't know. Like when you start a company and the first person to call is, Jim over at Acme Company, you go, hey, you know what? Found good news. This is kind of where I'm getting pulled. This is where my demand is, and then 3 years later, you realize that, it's not your highest and best use. It's a distraction from what's really preventing you from being great at what you've now deemed strategic, And so, so you start there. But for me, in the IT space, starting with, $8,000, I was never going to be so big that I could compete on price. I was never going to have the buying power to do that. So what I had to do is I had to be better. I had to create a better experience. I had to create higher performance where people, would go, you know what? Like we had a time when we got to a place where Mayo Clinic said, hey, for the stuff that doesn't matter, you can buy IBM. But if it's for healthcare related or executives, it's got to be from PDS. That's when you knew that you're Maui Jim versus, or whatever, that you're going to be, that you're branded at that level, But the size of the organization depends on your value proposition. We innovated to improve the quality of life of bigger companies.
So, gotcha. How do you set your priorities straight? In my life right now, say like somebody has like a girlfriend or something, they're prioritizing that over work, or prioritizing something like exploring, like I'm doing, where I started a podcast, I'm doing other businesses to try to explore kind of what I can all do and what I like and what I don't like. Where did you kind of set your priorities of, I'm going to do work
I'm starting a family now. That stuff in your life.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. It's a tough question. Again, it's tough at your age. You know, I was so enamored with my girlfriend, you know, and we were together from when I was 18 till the time I was 22. It didn't help me, you know, well, I failed in college because very high maintenance had to all be about her. I wanted to make the Olympic team, 84 for speed skating. I was a speed skater, ice skater,
Okay.
you know, and I was trying to make it as a pre-med student in Milwaukee. That's where I learned if you chase 3 rabbits at once, you don't catch any of them.
Right.
You know, you get on or off the Olympic team by thousandths of a second or hundredths of a second. You know, it had to be about Michelle. She didn't want me to do either of those things. Love you, Michelle. You know, and schoolwork, schmoolwork, you know. I always see you on the weekends. I expect you to do damn da. And I was so enamored. And so, you know, I think it's really important. Warren Buffett said this, you know, like if you could tell his kids only one thing, he'd say, marry well. And it's not just about, you know, marrying somebody who has money. And now this translates down to like, you know, you're not, not ready to get married or whatever it is. But the same thing means marrying, you know, choose well a partner who wants for you to be successful. That isn't just a take, that holds your coat and adores you. And may you do the same for whoever you're with. I didn't have that. I think that hindered me to begin with. So it certainly helps to start a company when you don't have that obligation. Certainly harder to start a company when you have a family already.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. This one person I had on the podcast, I guess, they have a kid and a wife, and they're running the business. And he's like, boy, it would be so easy for you since you have no obligations right now. You're just starting out to be so much easier for you. And he wishes that he did that.
Yeah. And that's, you know, that's how I was 22. How old are you?
22.
I was 22 when I started the company.
Okay.
You know, and again, you know, I had my sister there and a couple friends, and eventually my mom's doing books and her brother's doing purchasing. And, you know, like, you know, it's like sometimes how it goes, you know. And then, you know, I had friends that go finish their college, maybe get their master's, go get a job, and now they're 50 or 40 and they want to break out and they go on their own, but they've got a house and a mortgage and kids in college, you know, or whatever. And they're like, I can't do it now. And they're like, how are you so smart to be able to do this? How did you know what you're doing when you're 22? And I'm like, I didn't know what I didn't know, but I had no fear and I had nothing to lose. You know?
Yeah.
You know, if I lose it all, if you give everything you have at this for the next year and it's not working, how old will you be in 1 year?
23.
I know.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You're 23. You have your whole life ahead of you. You know, it's a little harder, you know, with the other things. So I like, it's just easier.
Right.
Sure. So
can we get into starting in the basement and stuff? Can you give some examples where you were just working right in the basement? You had a desk set up.
Yeah. We had a bunch. Yeah, we had a bunch of desks. I think we had like 5 desks and built some shelves in the basement. It was just different types of memory chips on there. We were called Memory and More.
That was a business name?
Yeah, Memory and More. You know, so
Memory and More.
And the more was this, is that it was really a fly-by-night industry at the time. And so when mom and pop computer shops would come and go, they weren't just, you know, maybe they knew something about computers didn't mean they should start a company on Main Street or whatever, paper retail space and whatever it is. So the people who were competing with us selling chips, if they sold chips and it didn't work, they'd say, send the computer back. We'll take a look at it. Must be on your end. My deal was that whole issue, love, trust, respect out of the gate. You know, the more was this. We decided when we started it that whatever we sell you, if it doesn't work, I will cross ship or we will cross ship to you overnight Red Express replacement and trust that you're going to send back to us because your customer shouldn't be down. We want you to create a wow experience. And that's what prompted the loyal we had such a loyal, we never lost anybody. I mean, I had to fire some customers, but we never lost anybody strategic. One customer in 26 years under my tenure that we lost, that was really strategic. And that's, the owner's son decided to come in and try to do the same business I was doing. And of course, he's going to get it. So, but anyway, it was pandemonium. And the crazy thing at the time, much better now, is, mid 80s and before, everybody in this country smoked. So imagine a bunch of people smoking in a basement, building a company. I'm sure there are people getting their computer chips going, God, these smoke.
I like smoke.
Does this come from the plant that way? I don't,
So you lived at home while you started in the basement?
No, it wasn't. Well, I was living at my mom's house, but we actually started in a friend's basement.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we didn't have space in our basement. So
gotcha.
Yeah, I started in a friend's basement.
Okay. And your friends were working with it too?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. Interesting. I've talked with guests and we talk about how we just talked about, I guess, kind of the advantage of still living at home and being able to start the business.
Oh, it's clutch.
And possibly going to a technical college and living at home, saving money, not going to a 4-year, but you dropped out of school. So that's not the case for you.
But I went back to school, but still, it's just so clutch. Mm-hmm. Right now you're enabled to do all the things you're doing and have 3 businesses because you have that opportunity.
Right.
You have parents that are holding your coat, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah.
No, totally. All right, well, let's take a little break quick.
Okay. Oh, I've got a video online called Nice versus Kind. Okay. And so what's the difference between being nice and kind? And it's kind of this manager leader thing, like the nicest guy in the world, the nicest person in the world might never really help anybody get to a better place to grow in life because they're always telling you what you want to hear and love you and you can do it and sweet and da-da-da-da. And never gonna do constructive criticism, never gonna play devil's advocate, I like your thinking.
Yeah.
Go give her a scooter, and where somebody's kind of going, you know what? I don't think that, somebody's just going to go, you know what? Love you dearly, but I'm going to respectfully disagree with you. And I'm saying this for you, not to you, for you, because I want you to emerge victorious.
Right.
That's kind. Sometimes it's being kind. And nice, a lot of times they want something in return, to feel validated, to feel people love them, and kind people want nothing in return. Dude, I don't know you, but I want to help you be successful. You know what I want in return for doing this? Absolutely nothing. I just know you're one of the good guys. I'm going to help you out. Be kind, Yeah. And if it's not going good, I'm going to call you, be kind, and go, dude, you know what? You might want to do whatever. So this video is about you have to be kind and change. So look, okay. So if you're nice, that's like the manager. I kind of bring in that management leadership. This manager had to do transformational change, and or they were going to die, and he wasn't getting people to change because he was just being nice, and they loved him, but they didn't respect him because he's just the nice guy.
Yeah,
nicest guy on earth. The nicest guy. I'm the nicest guy in my graduating class. You know what that means? I graduate a virgin. And so, it's a story about how I go through and make them kind. Well, anyway, the first time I did it, this video was like a year ago. It's one of those animated ones.
Oh, okay.
Nice versus kind. Just typing Craig Schiefelbein, nice versus kind. So, it's like 9 minutes. And some people love it and go, God, had you not had it handwriting so we could get sucked in, we wouldn't have stuck with it. But it was awesome, And, I had one guy say that. He goes, 9 minutes is way too long. 7 minutes cap. 7 minutes cap. And so, maybe at the end, when you're doing a podcast, go, okay, we're going to do speed cast.
Okay.
You know what? I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and you have 1 minute to answer each one of them. Go.
I like that idea.
Yeah. And so all of a sudden it's 7 minutes. It's done.
Just slam.
Yeah. Slam it. And you slam in and let's do that. And then you go, hey, if you want to see the full podcast, check it out. Here's where it's at.
Yeah.
So that's the hook. So then, we get the dig a niche, build a hospital. I said to myself, don't have time to get in the mountain climber thing. Human need purpose, innovation, failure's okay. I like Thomas Edison said, I didn't fail 1,000 times. I found 1,000 times the way something didn't work.
I don't think you said that one yet.
No,
but I like that.
Yeah. So anyway, Speedcast. Yeah. No, I just made it up. I pulled it out of my ass. Is there anybody ever used that? I don't know.
think so.
No, I just made it up, So the whole deal is that the hook has got to be, like you're going to set it up in the beginning. Usually I'll give you a bio you can introduce, and then when you do the Speedcast, you go, this is the guy founded the company based with loose change, help build the best company to work for, scale it to almost, a couple $100 million, twice Entrepreneur of the Year, Citizen of the Year, cool guy, Craig, little bit of our Speedcast.
Yeah.
And they go, Craig, da-da-da-da. And I'll go, bam, I'll try.
Okay.
I'm long-winded. You can tell that,
Uh-huh.
and there's your hook. And then go, okay, there's your Speedcast. Now watch the real thing. It's pretty badass.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. So that's the problem you're going to have.
Yeah. Too long.
It's too long. My son started a YouTube channel for video gaming. He had a 4-hour episode.
Like streaming or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
4-hour episode of him playing video games. He actually had a small following from the Middle East.
What?
Yeah, it was the weirdest thing. Yeah, he was getting up at 4 o'clock. I'm like, what are you doing? You're 12. He's like, yeah, I got 4 clients in the Middle East want to see me live.
What?
Like, what? Yeah. So, but you know what? It died because he couldn't make it more succinct. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's my advice for you. Like, how do you, under 30 minutes for sure.
Hook them in.
Well, no, 5 minutes is the hook, tops. No, 2 minutes is the hook. 7 minutes is like if I do one of my motivational speeches, right? Now I don't have a lot on YouTube. I keep my best content back. Otherwise people wouldn't hire me. That's my job. But, no, there's to speak, right? But, I've got a number of videos out there on YouTube. I don't know if you've seen any of them.
I think I see one or two, yeah.
If you go to my website.
I think I saw a swordfish one.
Yeah, swordfish one, yeah. So, but those keynotes are an hour long, and I'm going, I got to get it under 7 minutes.
Right.
It's got to be edited down to do that, or you lose them.
Right.
It's research. Unless it's really like hilarious, action-packed, whatever it is, or you're breaking it up, with the video clips in between, like maybe you show an image of me doing swordfish or me and the Batmobile or me doing whatever it is.
Yeah.
You can't just get them an hour, 2 people sitting at a table. You can't do it, And so, my guy goes, dude, after 5 minutes, you sound like Charlie Brown's teacher.
What?
Yeah. 5 minutes. You sound like Charlie Brown's teacher. Unless there's like, you've got to have somebody very charismatic or inspiring.
That's you.
Yeah. So, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. It is, right?
So, we'll have to write down the Speedcast questions.
Yeah.
And try to do that.
I'm going to keep all this in because I like the advice for maybe people that are starting a podcast to think about this idea. But now we're going
how many podcasts have you, if you're listening to a podcast that's over an hour long, there's a story in it. Like when her husband disappeared, the police thought it was her. However, like da-da-da-da, and then this cult and da-da-da, something like the story can suck you into it. Like what she's getting sucked into this podcast.
Yeah, I know.
This manipulation and, manipulation and greed and deceit and all these things, And this is good. I mean, I don't know what I don't know about business casts. All I know about, YouTube, and then I get the doghouse because people go, yeah, you did nice versus kind, but you're missing something. And I'm like, I know, but I had to get it down to 7 minutes. I only get it to 9. When I wrote it, it was 30 minutes long. Because what I want girls to be nicer to girls. Girls aren't very nice to girls. They're brutal.
They're nice behind their back.
Yeah.
They're nice on Instagram in the comments. Everything's like, oh, you look so pretty. But then in real life, they're not.
Yeah. Well, and not always.
Right.
Not always like that. Like junior high, all of a sudden you're unfriended, or you're at my, I'm at your sleepover. Next weekend I have a sleepover and you don't come.
Yeah.
Or, we're best friends since 4K and now this seat's taken at lunch and you go to another table and watch and nobody ever sits there.
Mm-hmm.
Like this happens, with girls all the time. So, like I have another one coming out about girls, better to be nice than kind. But kind is about leading change, and so, like, for instance, if you're going to break up your podcast, you might throw in, like, management versus leadership. You might quick throw in a clip just to, like, get off of us just sitting in the podcast and go to there. And just say, and maybe there's a great quote in there.
On the screen, yeah.
Yeah, a 10-second quote. Hey, go check this out. I think this will help those who want to learn about, leading change.
Yeah.
Great deal. Hit the link down, subscribe, or, here's, or whatever it is. And then you can have a longer podcast.
Right. Well, yeah. So what I'm doing right now is I'm keeping the full, like, long podcast, putting it on Spotify and YouTube and Apple Podcasts, but then on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok and stuff, I'm also doing like a 10-minute clip or something to break it up. So then you get the one long one if somebody wants to listen, like, while they're driving or something. Yeah. But then you can also get like the 10-minute one if you just want to. You're just sitting on the couch at the end of the night, like, what do I want to learn about leading change.
Yeah. Do you know?
I would like to take a quick minute to talk about this episode's innovative product. I'm big on saving time and money, and this product does just that. It's called the Easy Fade Clipper Guard. So instead of having to go to the barbershop and get a fade haircut whenever you want one, this guard, you can easily do a fade haircut at home. So normally how a fade haircut is done is that the barber goes from a 1 guard or a half guard up into probably like a 3 guard. So continually switching out guards to blend the hair into a fade. The Easy Fade Haircut Guard has eliminated this need and allows just 1 guard to do the fade haircut. For the audio listener, there's a ring on the side of the guard, and as you work your way up the head, you can slide the guard so that it extends it and cuts the hair at longer length as you go up the head. This is a super interesting product, and I've actually been using it for a while now, and it just makes it so much easier that you don't have to go to the barbershop and keep spending money and time on getting your hair cut when you can easily just do a fade haircut at home or do it on yourself with this guard. It just makes it so much easier. Check it out at easyfadeco.com and enter promo code InnovationPodcast at checkout for 20% off your order. That is the letter E and letter Z, fadeco.com. And you can find the link in the description if you don't want to type that in to make it a little easier for you. Now back to this episode.
But welcome to Speedcasting with Hunter on Innovation Illuminated. We're going to ask 5 questions within 5 minutes. Let's have it. So each question is going to be a minute.
I got to be fast.
Yeah, with Craig Schiefelbein. Here we go. What is necessary to become a success?
Necessary to be a success, you have to have human need purpose. You have to have it in your life. You have to have it in your business. Every industry was started to serve a human need purpose or it wouldn't have started. Every company in that industry has to serve a human need purpose. You know, every founder started to be either faster, more elegant, more efficient, more empowering, you know, whatever it is. Like, how are they going to serve that purpose better? And then how do they create a culture where everybody in that place serves human need purpose so it creates a want to versus have to work environment? Go.
All right, number 2, most important competitive advantage.
Most important competitive advantage is agility. The only sustainable long-term competitive advantage is agility, and that's your ability to fundamentally be able to recreate yourself, your organization, and how you get things to market faster than the competitive landscape. Go.
All right, number 3. Since you can't create a culture of innovation, how do you foster one?
That's a great question. Yeah, well, purpose will come in to it, but I'll first say this, is a good CEO or a good leader is very transparent, exhibits humility, puts others before self. And so you have to be able to go in before the people and be transparent and say, this is how we impact the human condition. Here's our strategic direction. Here's the competitive landscape. I don't have to be the brightest guy in the room. What should we stop, think about doing to get there? And then give everybody a voice. So it becomes a want to versus have to work environment. Go.
All right, number 4. This is a deep one. Who do you want to be remembered for?
Who do I want to be remembered?
Yeah.
How do I want to be remembered?
What? How?
Yeah, who? The guy that made out with Halle Berry. No.
Okay.
No. How do I want to be remembered? I want to be recognized for having made the world a better place, taking all the gifts that I've gotten from God and giving them back to impact the human condition in many, many ways. It has to be glaringly evident. And may all glory go upstairs. Final question.
All right, what is the coolest purchase you've made?
Coolest purchase. Well, I have an original Batmobile.
That's
And
insane.
I have a Batcave, and I have James Bond's 007 Aston Martin. How's that?
That's crazy. That's a cool ass purchase.
Okay. All right.
All right, let's slow it down for the last question. If a young entrepreneur was to come up to you and ask you how to start a company, what direction or what advice would you have for them?
All right. I'll slow it down. It goes back to that. They're asking them going, why are you doing this? How it's going to impact the human condition? And then the things that I talked about, why do you think you can do it better than the competitive landscape? Are you going to be faster, more empowering, better culture, better customer service? What is it? What are you not going to do? How are you going to create a great place to work, as you grow it? And how are you going to be able to fund it effectively? How do you, depending on what their aspirations are, but try to let them know that when they go to do it, it's part of their legacy. And so, let's focus on making the world a better place, and everything else follows.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. Well, thanks for all the advice, and I hope the listeners get as much out of it as I did.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
thanks for coming on.
Cheers. Yeah.
Super
Thanks.
fun.
Yeah.
That
you
was
bet.
awesome.
It was good.